Hopefully everybody signed in at the desks over there. Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Okay, please let's have no more chatting. We're going to get started here. Thank you. And hopefully everybody signed in like you're supposed to over there. Okay. Okay, only delegates and alternates substituting for a delegate can sit in the designated area. Others, please sit with the residents on that side. So if you're not a delegate, you can't sit in this space over here. Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Bertha, do we have a quorum? Where are you, Bertha? She's counting? Okay. Okay, so we have a quorum. Thank you. 50. 50 is even better than 47, usually. Okay. Can everybody please take their seats and eliminate actually the chatting? People, please. We're getting started here. Okay, as I said, we're calling the meeting to order. We have a quorum. Alan, I'm going to ask you to do the minutes, please.
The minutes of the last meeting we had in May were published in the June edition of the Cobrua Reporter, which has been available for several months on the bench near your mailboxes. Has anyone found an addition, a correction, or an omission from those printed minutes? Is there any objection to accepting the minutes as published in the Cobrua Reporter?
Except that Susan Ortsman.
Thank you, Alan. Please silence your phones, everyone. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to do the President's report. That happens to be me, if you didn't know. During the summer, Cobrua has been very busy with the following committees. Management Search Committee is looking into potential management companies. Several companies will be interviewed and will be scheduled for drive-throughs. We already did a few drive-throughs with other companies. The Bylaws Committee is looking into the current bylaws to see if any amendments are necessary. The Elevator Committee is working on replacing the cylinders. Two have already been replaced. First Service Advisory Committee is working on addressing concerns. The Insurance Committee is working to obtain more competitive numbers. We also had a presentation from AMR. In addition, we have been having success regarding pest control. Several associations have signed up with Maximum for pest control, and that has been greatly helped and been successful. We did have a presentation with a couple different companies, and most people decided to go with Maximum. Several residents took advantage of the free hurricane food through Volin. This was from a grant that Volin received, and they thought of our residents to share with them, which was very nice of them to think of us. Also, this summer, we recently started working on the 2025 budgets. You will be advised of all the details at your board of directors meetings and also through mailings. And we are looking forward to continually seeing everyone at our delegates meetings. Thank you. Okay, Lynn, can we do the treasurer's report, please?
Good morning. A month ending balance in our checking account is $21,215. Our CD is $28,760 for a total of $49,976. Last month's balance was $51,160. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Stanley, will you do the budget? Budget director.
The budget report is given every March, so right now there's nothing to report on the budget.
Okay. Let's move on to the M&O committee. Stanley?
The M&O committee, first let me say in the Cobrua Reporter, the reports for the month of May, June, and July have been printed, so that'll bring you up to date. There was one correction in the May report where we talk about decals for friends and family. There was a typo in there, and where it said $25 for aid should have been deleted. When we submitted it, we should have taken that part out. Otherwise, the reports, tell you exactly what went on for the last couple of months. The current meeting we had on August 21st with management. Here are some of the highlights. The final repairs in the front of the clubhouse have been completed. This mainly pertained to the area where the buses were. The committee will be reviewing with management color of the clubhouse and putting carpeting in the clubhouse. The sale of decals is moving along quite well. It should pick up when the snowbirds return. The net result will be the improvement in the traffic when everyone is back, coming into the gates. Again, we're going to be reviewing having the smaller shopping carts available to make more room and make it safer on the buses, because most of the people are using the larger carts, which take up the aisle space, and that's not the best way to get along for other people. We started our preliminary work on the budget for the coming year, November 1st, and hopefully we should complete it within the next week or so. Are there any questions regarding the report?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mark Hoffman, Newcastle. I want to know what's going on as far as painting of the brick here. I think if you take a straw poll here, everybody would be against it, because if you paint brick, you've got to keep repainting it every
This
few
is
years.
being reviewed by the M&O committee with management. We have input from various people, and no final decision has been made yet.
If you want to take a straw poll over here, I think you'll
We
find.
don't take straw polls, at least not for the M&O committee.
Any other questions?
Yes, Susan Ortsman, Preston. I'd like to know, we're selling the decals, you're selling the decals for family and friends for $50 each per year. I understand that in Pembroke Pines, they're only selling it for $10 per car per year. Why? Is it because we live in Boca that we're charging so much?
This was a decision by management to charge $50. We charge $25 for regular residents, so we felt that an accommodation and $50, and as far as I know, there's been almost no complaints.
Well, because maybe people don't know that Pembroke Pines is only charging 10 when it only costs about $9.84 to make. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay.
In reference to the decals, I think that's a great idea to improve traffic flow. But one thing I'm concerned about is once people are in here, they could easily use our outdoor facilities. Is there going to be some additional security to make sure only residents are there, or guests of residents are there, the residents are with them?
I believe to use the facilities, you need an ID card. The fact that you have a relative come in, they don't have an ID card. They just have permission to come in through the gate.
I'm talking about the outdoor facilities, like the pickleball courts, tennis courts, pools. I mean, $50 a year is a pretty cheap membership fee if people just come because their friends get them the decals to come in. That's my concern, having overpopulated. Our pickleball courts are already overpopulated. If we have residents that are friends of residents that are coming in, is that going to cause more congestion?
We don't anticipate having problems in those areas.
You don't anticipate? Will security be checking more often?
Yes,
Are we supposed to
absolutely.
police it?
Absolutely, and if people feel there are outsiders coming in, they should report it immediately to security.
Okay, and are residents limited to the number of friends and relatives they can get these decals for?
Right now, the answer is no.
The answer is no. Okay, can I ask one other question about the backflow project? I hear a lot of people talking, and they think that they're going to be getting charged individually for water usage, which I keep telling
That's a rumor.
I know, I keep telling them that's a rumor.
The answer is only the association of buildings will be billed.
Right.
Not individual apartments.
Right, so there really wouldn't be any extra expense for us, because I just want to make this public because I hear it so much. There won't be any extra expense for the associations, because right now, I assume that we're paying the Cobrua for Send West.
Yes.
For the use of
It'll
water.
stay the same.
So there won't.
The only possibility, it'll monitor to see if some buildings are using more water than they should, based on
Okay.
experience.
My understanding is also so that you can locate any leaks more easily, right?
Well, we've had, SunWest has arranged with First Service to have a plumbing company go around
Okay.
checking flappers and leaks in the apartments. And hopefully we, got most of them taken care of.
Okay, I
But
just
that
want to
should
make
cut
sure.
down on the waterways.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody is aware that this is a benefit to us. It's not going to cost us more money.
No, it's not.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, by having the county put in the water flows and then taking over the 12-inch pipes, we've saved $2 million a year.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Jennifer Service from Mansfield, G.
Oh,
Recently got a letter from FPL saying that as soon as you complete the installment of the pipes and we start getting water via that, then there is some kind of electrical gadget that's attached to these pipes. If they are broken to my building, then I'm gonna be required to pay to have them come out to fix this electric problem?
Excuse me, do you have a garbage can in your apartment? When that letter comes in, put the letter in the garbage can.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Any other questions?
Over here, Bertha.
Samuel Rivera. After the backflows were put in, the water pressure has gone down. When are they gonna?
I can't hear you if you're addressing.
The water pressure has gone down after the work was done on the backflow.
As soon as all the backflows are completed and the buildings have been monitored and the backflows at the entranceways are removed, the pressure will increase.
Any other questions? Okay, we're going to move on. Stanley, Community Affairs.
All right. The West Boca Council, which used to meet monthly, now meets on a quarterly basis. They're meeting tonight at the Coconut Grove Water Park, which is in the Aronson Regional Park. Tonight's subject will be what is happening at the Shadowwood Shopping Center. The chances are that the movie house and Bed Bath & Beyond buildings will be removed. Not chances, they will be removed eventually, with housing and businesses taking its place. They're trying to see if Best Buy will give up its building. So that's the subject of tonight's meeting. Also, they'll be talking about some additions to the shopping center, what they call Upper Boca, which is on Glades Road, where all the restaurants are. The meeting is at 7 o'clock tonight. Any questions? I see a hand, I see two hands.
Stanley, it's just a question. Richard Diamond, Suffolk. Do you know anything, or have you heard anything about the two major stores, Big Lots and Hobby Lobby? They're gigantic stores. Do you know of anything that's going to be going there?
Big Lot filed for bankruptcy, and Hobby Lobby, I know, moved out of the area.
So you don't know what's going to be there at this time? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna move on. Okay, Stanley, anything with Comcast cable?
Nothing, unless somebody has a complaint.
Okay, is Mona here today?
Oh, yeah, one thing, yeah, let me stand corrected. They're arranging to have a new representative come on Wednesday and Friday. So right now, the office may not be open this week, but they're working to see if they can get a replacement as soon as possible. And of course, Sherry will have a notice, on her desk in front of the clubhouse.
Any other Comcast questions?
That's it for Comcast.
Okay. Okay. Hotwire, does anybody address what's happening with Hotwire, because a few people are not here today that can let us know. Anybody? As far as I know, everything is okay. I haven't heard anything otherwise. Okay, I'm just going to move forward. Yes, I will. Okay, Carolyn is going to talk about the Cobrua group. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. During the summer, the Cobrua Group began identifying our potential business consultants who will assist us with the many financial transactions, the financial aspects, potentially the real estate elements of the 2028 transactions. So we will begin addressing and seeking some outside assistance to make sure we're making good decisions for all of us. That process will continue, as we expect that we'll need the financial consultant, probably a real estate consultant, and others as time may go on. Thank you.
Any questions?
I should mention that our next meeting is Tuesday, September the 17th. Our meeting is open to members of the executive board. For those not on the executive board, our minutes are posted in the Cobrua Reporter for all residents to read.
Thank you, Carol. Are there any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I thought the meeting was open for presidents to attend, not just.
Presidents are on the executive board.
Really?
Indeed, they do. You can come.
I've been president for 8 years, I'm not on the executive board.
Yes, you are.
First Monday of the month.
Okay, that's obviously the reason Brighton is so bad. Okay. I did. I know, but I'm not on the executive board.
Okay, we're going to go forward. Jody has the security report.
Good morning, my name is Jody, representing United Security. I'm here to present the monthly report for August. For miles patrol, we had 7,026. Pre-authorized calls, 6,665. Contractors, 831. We did 6 welfare checks. Elevator rescue malfunction 1. Auto accidents 2. ID violations 51. And we had 3 fires. Any questions?
Good morning, friends. My name is Alvin with Fanshawe. I don't know who to address this to. Someone address it to you. Recently in Fanshawe, there was a death, and it came to me like the second time around. I reported it. There was a bunch of flies, like 100 flies on the window. Why aren't the directors notified? No one notified me about that. The security was there. The security was there, and I went up to that guy and asked him, "What's going on?" And he said, "Nothing."
You asked the rover what was going on?
Yes.
I'm not sure if at that time he knew what happened. We usually get information from PBSO when they're done conducting their investigation. We can't step in until they clear us to.
Okay, but I've been a director for a long time, 6 or 7 years. I never got an issue of a death.
We don't usually inform directors when someone passes.
Question is, why don't you? I mean, they're responsible for the building.
It's just something we've never done. I mean, we can speak to management about it, but we've never done that. We do our reports, send it to administration, and that's it.
Jody, could you please speak to management about this issue? Because we're responsible for the building, and when someone dies, I mean, half the people, who's the first floor, half the people, or 2/3 of the people, second and third floor, walk down that way, and it's an awful situation, especially when it's undetected.
So is it that you only want to be notified that this
Yeah,
result?
yeah.
Because we can't give information about our reports. That's what I want to clarify.
See if you can seek an answer to the question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other security questions?
Thank you, Jody. You mentioned that for ID violations, there were 51. that seems like an awful lot of cheaters trying to get into the premises. Is that mostly at the gate, or is it at the coming into the clubhouse? Is there any way to identify it so we can better deter it?
Yes, I'll separate it for the next meeting. We do have, it's mostly at the gates. The violations are mostly at the gates.
At the gate?
Yes, ma'am. But I can definitely separate it for you guys on the next meeting, as far as whether it's expired ID, IDs that were confiscated from residents, giving it to their family and friends, which we had 11 of those last month.
Okay, I don't want to make more work for you.
No, you're fine.
But that is interesting that it's at the gates with people trying to come in who should not be.
Right.
Thank
I'll
you.
do that for you, no problem.
Any other questions for security? No? Okay.
Over there.
Okay, we're gonna move on to old business. Yes? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, this is John Garzanini, Fanshawe. I apologize, maybe I misunderstood what you reported. Did you say that there were 3 fires?
Correct. Whether it's
Could you clarify what kind of fires those were?
whether it's a residence stove catching on fire, those type of reports we do.
So these were fires in buildings, not fires in automobiles?
Units.
Units, okay. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Before we conclude, I just want to say, security also want to thank the residents that's been using the auto system. It's been helping at the gates a lot with the traffic flow and for calling in your guests. We also want to remind residents that are walkers and bikers to please have your Central Village IDs to enter the village. We are getting a small congestion of that at the gate where residents don't have their IDs, which is causing us to, at times, escort some residents in, but then it becomes a boomerang effect where everyone wants to be escorted and we had to put a stop to it. We're here to help, but we need you guys to help us as well. As a reminder, please make sure that your guests are on your permanent list, as well as your nursing aides. And if your nursing aides come to the gate and they don't have their ID but only have on their scrub, they will be denied access. They have to have their IDs and they need to be on your list unless they have their proper credentials. And also residents using the residence lane, if you don't have a decal, please don't use that lane. It also holds up traffic for the residents with a decal and causes a congestion at the gate. They did mention family and friends. We have been given the papers at the gates for residents, so if you guys have any questions, Jeannie's in the ID office and she is more than happy to help. One more thing before I go, we are having some issues with U-Hauls. Please remember that U-Hauls are permitted in the village. The cutoff time is 6 p.m. Even if you are a resident and you come to the gate after 6, the U-Haul cannot come in. Moving in and out is 7 days a week. U-Haul is cutoff time is 6 p.m. to enter the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
Question.
There's a question, Jody.
Martin Fish from Rexford. I guess I could have asked this question earlier. So today I was traveling south on Lyons and seeking to make a left turn into the residence lane. So what happens is that people traveling north on Lyons wanting to make a right turn into the village, they're often visitors, and what they do is they start to make the turn, and because of the backup, they completely block the lane for the residents. So it seems to me, I guess we know more or less what are the busy times. If we had someone out there preventing people from making that right turn, if they're not residents, that would speed up the the traffic, or if we had a cop for giving out tickets and people who learned their lesson.
Usually we do have a rover there, but if there is a call for something else, welfare checks or anything, the rover will leave the gate because we have to make that welfare check or fire rescue a priority.
But it's not the gate, it's actually the entrance right at the corner.
Yes, I do understand your question. The rover is usually there directing traffic, but if we do get a call, that rover has to leave the gate to tend to what's going on.
Okay, thank you, Ted. Okay, is there any old business? No? Any new business? Okay, we're gonna move the good and welfare, just the delegates for good and welfare. And keep in mind that there's a limit. Okay. Ted there? Oh, there he is. Okay, Ted. Sorry about that.
If you look at the agenda, apparently I'm the new Alan Perlman. But my name is Ted Levine, and I appreciate this. For the Exeter team, I'd love to be able to sit with you. I just thought it would be better if I was facing everybody. And if they wanted to face me, that's okay. If you don't want to face me, that's okay. But we have full complement of delegates and delegates, alternates sitting outside, so thank you for participating, Exeter. Really appreciate it. Okay. Bylaws Committee met on July 12th, and we were able to have a quick and in-depth meeting that brought new target topics into focus in a manner to present to the board and to the delegates. The main topic was the suspension of the summer schedule. The process for suspending the meetings, and the reason I'm reading this, I want to make sure that I'm reading exactly the report that I gave at the executive board meeting last week, so that there aren't any rumors about what was said, what's going on. So I want to make sure that the delegates hear everything first. I mean, you put in your time, you put in your efforts, you deserve to hear everything first, as it's said elsewhere, before the rumors start. So I appreciate if there are any rumors, let's stop them now. The process for suspending the meetings during the summer was handled appropriately. The bylaws were not changed. The bylaws document states, Article 4, meeting of the delegates, Section 1. The delegates shall meet the second Tuesday of every month to be held such time and place as the delegates may designate. Within the bylaws, there is no mention of a procedure for a temporary change of any of the articles or sections. As such, anything not directly in the bylaws are thereby under the purview of the chair and the executive board, and there is another section of the bylaws I will read shortly. The executive board passed the motion. The motion was then placed on the agenda for the delegates' meeting, and the delegates then had the opportunity to vote. In this coming year, the intent is to either go through the designated process to change the bylaws to reflect the schedule as it has been for several years, to continue as we have following the process of this past May, and for much more than a decade before May, because this has been going on, I don't know, 12, 13 years from what I understand. Anyway, have meetings during the summer months as stipulated in the bylaws and following the process for a bylaws change. During the year, our committee will meet to discuss any other bylaws questions that may come up for discussion and presentation to the board and the delegates' meetings. That is the context exactly as I read it at the executive board meeting. So to this point, if there are any questions, I'm going to ask to hold for a moment, because I do have a couple of other asides outside the quote of what I had. One is, under the same Article 4 that states
when the meetings take place, the second Tuesday of the month, at a time and place that the delegates choose. That's section 1. Section 7 says, the conduct of all meetings shall be set forth in Robert's Rules of Order, provided that the chairperson, with the consent of the delegates, which you've all consented to, or I shouldn't say all, there was a vote, with the consent of the delegates, may suspend or modify such rules. And that is in exactly Article 4, which is the same section as Section 1 regarding the time and date. Okay? So what I read previously was absolutely appropriate. The committee brought a recommendation to the executive board. The executive board took that recommendation, brought it to the full delegates board. The chairperson put it on the agenda, and the delegates voted on it. Totally appropriate. And if anybody has a question about canceling meetings, I came up with a synopsis. My heart hurts with it, but let me just give it to you. 9:30, 9:45, we pull up to the clubhouse. There's smoke pouring out of at the day of the meeting, like this morning. There's smoke pouring out of the clubhouse. We have fire engines outside. The sheriff's police department is outside. We have media outside with cameras and everything else. And we have to have the meeting the second Tuesday of the month. So now we have to have the delegates pile up in a corner someplace because we have to take a vote. Excuse me, fire chief, can you move the hose? I'm trying to count hands. A little ridiculous, right? Of course that meeting is going to get suspended, regardless of what the bylaws say. But the bylaws do account for that in Section 7 and according to Robert's Rules. So everything we did in May is appropriate. That doesn't mean it's final. During the year, as I've read, the intent is to go through the process of last year to see if we have to have a bylaws change. Or to continue the way we're going, because one of the things that we do a bylaws change with everything that's going on, attorneys are expensive to write bylaw changes. But it was appropriate. And we will continue to look at this, but I do promise you, whatever we decide will come out in proper time frames for notifications, voting announcements, etc. Now, are there any questions? Okay, if you can, oh.
Ted, by that language, by using that language, doesn't that put everything in our bylaws subject to change at any time for any reason? Citing an example like there was a fire is just, you're exaggerating what's going on. There wasn't, you didn't cancel the summer meetings because there was going to be a fire. That's ridiculous. Thank you, sir.
Dan, thank you very much. Thanks for the microphone back so everybody can hear. I said at the beginning it was a ridiculous analogy, but I wanted to stretch it to the finite point. That was the reason for that. With that, the job of one of the jobs of the bylaws committee is to explore exactly what you just asked. What we wanted to do was explore what's been going on for over a decade as far as canceling the meetings or suspending the meetings during the summer. We've addressed that. That doesn't mean that's finite. With what I read, we are going to really go into depth to find out what can be done or not in these situations. And if it was heard, we will bring it up and we will correct it.
Did that answer my question?
I hope so. No?
Well, my question was, can you do this for anything?
That's what we're exploring this year, to make sure that we can or cannot.
Any sense that you can do anything?
Section 7, this is in the bylaws. I don't make them up. I don't make recommendations. I just follow the rules. Section 7 allows that. We are going to be exploring Section 7 as well.
If it needs to be changed to Section 7?
Possibly. Very possible, but we will be exploring that this year. Any other questions? whether or not you agree, did I at least explain everything in detail? Or was it clear? No question? Okay. I appreciate all of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ted. Appreciate your explanation. Okay, gotta move on to, I think we did the old business already. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, good and welfare, just want to remind everyone, okay, that's only 2 minutes. Everybody has 2 minutes to speak. Okay, so, delegates are first. I already said that before. Any delegates have anything? The delegates are first. Okay, so if the delegates have any questions for good and welfare, please stand up and raise your hand.
I am a delegate. I just want to bring to your attention, the buildings have been posted, and it's on channel no longer 63, 1075, and whatever the hot wire channel is.
99.
What is it?
99.
99? Thank you. The election is coming up, and there are on your ballots, for those of you who are registered voters here in Florida or are planning to register, and you better do that quickly if you want to, there are going to be 6 proposed amendments to the Florida Constitution. You've probably been reading in the papers. There are 2 that we read about all the time. There's the abortion amendment and the marijuana amendment. In addition, there are 2 others that specifically will affect us. There's an adjustment to certain homestead exemptions, and there's also a question of repealing campaign financing, which is a requirement in our Constitution. We've invited a representative from the League of Women Voters. The representative will be here. It'll take about an hour, and then there'll be a Q&A. That's for Friday, September 27th at 11 o'clock, and everyone is invited. You'll really get to understand what you really don't from reading the papers, because that's all in legalese, and the legalese will be broken down, so hopefully you'll become a more educated voter. I look forward to seeing you all there. Any questions?
Well, will it be held? Will it be held here or in the room or?
Oh, room A.
Where?
Room A in the clubhouse, September 27th, Friday, 11 o'clock. But the buildings are posted. Thank you.
Diana Stillwell from Cornwall. Both these items will seem probably minor, but I read them in the Cobrua and I was questioning them. One is actually under the M&O committee. I forgot about it. It says that if an owner is unable to leash a service dog properly, this is acceptable under ADA regulations. The dog or dogs must be kept within a few feet of the owner. Now, is this supposed to say acceptable or unacceptable? And if it is acceptable, what constitutes a service dog? It's not all the emotional support dogs out, I hope. And if they're, I just found that puzzling. I'm not sure why it was even in the M&O part, but it was a comment there that I questioned, and if I could get more feedback on that.
The only dogs allowed in the recreation area or in the pools are service animals.
Okay.
Not emotional support.
Not emotional support.
And the AD has ruled that the dog or the person cannot leash the dog. The dog has to be within a few feet of the individual, and it's allowed to be unleashed.
Okay.
That's
So
ADA regulation.
this is more in relationship to pools specifically.
Pardon me?
This is more in relationship to around the pool specifically, not like out walking your dog without a leash. Because it's not clear.
The question came up about the pool, and this is where.
Okay, and that's why it's in here, okay. Because we did have an incident near me where somebody actually had the dog on a leash, the dog got loose, attacked another dog, the owner, and so that's a whole different thing. But, okay, so it was meant for the pool situation. That's why it's in there.
Yes.
Okay. And the other one, the rules and regulations that were published, they are, do you publish them each year when the Cobrua first comes out for the season? It is every month, okay. So I'm just reading this for the first time, only because my boyfriend actually pointed out. It says, I mean, I understand proper dress is required when you go to the theater during the season and to the party room. But I thought it interesting that it says, and I thought it was mainly because they don't want you wearing shorts. But it does specifically say, women must wear pants, skirts, or dresses at the knee. Really, you can't, I mean, like I couldn't wear this, it's too short? Okay, so I just thought that was odd that it's on there. I didn't know if it, you know, has been on there for years, which apparently it has. But we thought that was kind of odd. We thought it was kind of odd that you're going to have a... Yeah, no, it's meant for shorts. Okay. So we won't be sent home if we show up with dresses above the knee? I mean, once my boyfriend saw this, I started reading everything. That's why I asked the other questions, too. And I encourage everybody to read what's in here. Thank you.
I had a situation, it's Mike Solomon, Cornwall. I had a situation arise, one of my condos, where someone had a service animal, and emotional animal. And they left the dog in the condo all day, and the dog barks all day until the owner comes back. I'm thinking that that there has to be some kind of reasonable situation where if it's an emotional support dog, it should be with the owner. It's not staying home to do the laundry and cleaning the condo. Do you have any experience from that along those lines?
Ted, you had an answer from that?
Okay, in Exeter, there is a note in our rules and regulations and our bylaws regarding the amount of time that a dog can stay, not a service dog, but an emotional support animal, and let's presume that all animals are registered, can be barking in the room in their units alone. So there is a time, but it's in the association rules, not in Cobrua's rules. So which association are you in?
Cornwall.
So Cornwall re-examine the rules and regulations, and your bylaws, then maybe something mentioning it in there.
Thank you, Ted.
Good morning again. My name is Alvin. I'm with Pancho. Is that regarding Diane, your comments or a question, if I'm correct? Is it what constitutes a service animal? It's usually considered a wheelchair. A monkey could be a service animal. You can't. You're talking about the Americans with Disability Act, and I don't think I'm with Kai's real estate agency. We have 60 offices and do $8 billion a year. You're not going to go and deal with that legally. So that's what it's considered a wheelchair. That's all you can do, except for whatever it is. No, you put doesn't make any difference. I understand that the Diane service dog is considered a wheelchair. It could be emotional, I can't answer that, but a service dog, I can't. Well, they were talking.
Can I have the microphone back, please? Can I be recognized?
Let's cut out the first.
Okay, for what a lot of people may not know, I do have a service dog, Cha-Cha. She's sitting right here on the platform of my scooter, and her leash is attached to the scooter, so my hands were free because I like to talk with my hands. Anyway, by definition, according to the Americans with Disability Act, the ADA, a service dog has to be trained to do a specific task, or at least one specific task, for the person that has the service dog, for the owner. An ESA, emotional support animal, is not a trained animal for the animal's trained, but not for a specific medical, emotional, or psychiatric, physical, or whatever task. A service dog is trained. With that, the owner can do its own training. Doesn't specify who can train, but the animal has to be trained. When you take a service dog, and a service dog can go into any facility that a human goes into, because it's not considered an animal or a pet, it's considered a medical device. Sorry, Cha-Cha. I never wanted to tell you that, so close your ears. Okay. With that, when you go into an establishment, like going to Costco, the supermarket, going to a restaurant, wherever we go, there are two questions that can be asked. One is your animal a service animal? The answer is yes. And what service does the animal provide? You do not have to say what your medical condition is because it's a HIPAA violation. So you can say something as easily as, she provides the service to make me aware of my condition or whatever it is. You don't have to specify what that condition is. I do because I want people to know who are questioning me, and I do. But you'll see me and Cha-Cha, we call it squawking, scooter walking around. But that's the definition of the service dog, is a dog that's trained to do a specific task. Now, with mental conditions, you can have an emotional support dog that's an ESA, but if that ESA is trained to be attentive to a certain psychiatric or emotional situation, then it becomes a service dog. But if it's not trained, it's not a service dog. So the wheelchair is not, in and of itself, is not the ultimate definition, if I may add. Okay. Anybody else have questions with service dogs?
Doesn't have to be a dog.
Oh, ADA changed some of the rulings, so you want to reread it. It used to be a pony was allowed, and it used to be pigs were allowed. It's now just dogs. You shouldn't say ponies, I should say small horses, different breed, small horses. I think they changed that, but you should read it, ada.gov is the area. Okay, thank you. I said.
My name is Chuck Wall. I'm the director of Building J in Mansfield. Maybe I got lost here, but I thought the original question was, there's a dog barking in that building. We don't know what kind of dog. We don't care what color it is, what religion it is. It's barking all day. What can be done?
Send a violation letter, call up First Service or your president, or see if it's approved.
This is really an association question, okay, as to how you're going to handle it.
It's happened to my building in Preston several years ago. The dog kept barking and barking and barking and barking. Called up First Service or texted them, including Charlie, our president, and violation letters were sent out to them. A lot of violation letters. Eventually, the people moved, which we were very happy about, but it takes a while. But violation letters, you can't sell your apartment if you wanted to until the violations are fixed. So that sometimes can scare the people. So Michael, get a violation letter to Cornwall.
Okay, can we move on? Okay? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna do good and welfare, okay, as far as residents are concerned. And just a reminder, it's only 2 minutes that everybody gets to speak. You have a question?
Yeah, thank you. Carolyn Haynes, I'm a resident of Exeter. I would just like to make sure that you may have, hopefully you saw in the Cobrua Reporter, a save the date for Thursday, November 7. It will be another celebration to honor our veterans here in the party room. It should be from 1 to 4 p.m. and everyone is invited, particularly veterans. We're asking if you have a story or a memory you'd like to share with us, please contact Sherry at the front desk and we'll make you part of the program. So Thursday, November 7th. Thank you.
Okay, Fred?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, delegates, neighbors. My name is Fred Hadley. I'm a resident of Cornwall E. I just want to make two statements. One regarding the decal for friends and family. The friends and family, they're already coming into the village by virtue of the automatic gate entry. They're already here. So if they want to use pickleball or swimming pool, that's already happening. The fact that you're giving them a decal doesn't increase traffic into the village. They're already coming into the village. So I don't think that's an issue. I think the idea is a good idea of visitor decals. My second point is to the bylaws. I listened to Ted, who's our bylaws and articles of incorporation chairperson, very carefully, and I generally have a high degree of respect for Ted. I think he's a very capable person. However, I must strenuously object, as did one of the delegates sitting over here. The Section 7, which I just checked, does enable the delegates to modify the conduct of the meeting, not the scheduling of the meeting. The scheduling of the meeting is set by Article 1, and it's monthly. Now, I don't really care if you guys want to meet 6 times a year, 4 times a year. If you don't want to meet at all, that's fine with me. Put it in the bylaws. You're making a mockery of the bylaws, and you're teaching everybody that they don't count. And it's a total misread of Article 7 to equate conduct of the meeting, which has to do, let's say, with how long I may speak, or the frequency of how long I may get. That's the conduct of the meeting, not the schedule of the meeting. So I strongly recommend that, Ted, you re-examine that phrase very carefully, and that the bylaws should be modified or follow the bylaws. It's very simple. Yes. Did you want to
Okay,
respond
Fred,
to
you made your point.
Wait, is he answering?
Yes. Use the microphone. Use the microphone.
I want to hear what he has.
How can he respond?
Give up the microphone.
How can he respond? They can hear his mouth. Huh?
I'd like to hear what Ted has to say. I think we'd all like to hear what Ted has to answer.
Yes, let's hear what Ted has to say.
Thank you, Charlie.
That wasn't my decision not to answer, believe me. I think people know me enough. You give me an opportunity to speak, I will. Okay. Fred, we spoke, just so people know, Fred and I spoke on Thursday. He was very concerned about some things. He wanted to get a hold of me. Of course, I called him back. Fred, thank you for being the gentleman that you are, that we discussed. One of the things we discussed was for him to please hold off on anything until after the delegates in full hear what I had to say, hear what was said at the meeting last week. And I thank you for holding on to that, Fred. It's really appreciated. With that, you may be very right in a lot of things, and when we discuss things, Fred and I were in sync on about 5 or 6 different items. Surprised both of us. That is why in the comments that I made, The bylaws committee is going to be looking really, really strongly at things I've done in the past that have become the precedent for which things were done this past year. And we will decide to bring a motion forward or not to the executive board, et cetera, and follow the processes within the time frame so that if there is a bylaws change, it's not going to be a last-minute situation. And Fred, by the way, believe it or not, I do thank you for your input. And if anybody else has any questions after the meeting, whatever, I'm pretty available. Please, you can email to me, text to me, call me, and we can discuss things. The delegates are very responsible part of this whole Cobrua situation, of the whole Century Village lifestyle. And you put out your time, your energies, your emotions, your passions for the betterment of the organization. So if you have any questions on bylaws, please contact me. We'll bring them to committee. I may not give you, my job is not to make decisions. My job is to lead the committee. The committee as a whole will make recommendations to bring to the executive board, and they will make decisions as a whole body on whether or not something comes with Charlie, with the executive board, to come to the floor for the delegates. So when you're looking for me to make decisions, Fred, I said before, I don't make the decisions. I agree with you. I lead the committee, but the committee will make recommendations, not decisions, to bring forward or not. And that's what we'll be working on in great detail this year. So if you're here and you're on the committee, we'll be speaking somewhat and putting things together. So thank you, Fred. I really appreciate your input.
Thank you, Ted, for replying. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Okay. Somebody got to make a motion to adjourn. Huh? What? Wait. Somebody has a question?
Hi, John Garzaniti, Fan Shop. I've been a resident here for 5 years and owner for 5 years. I'm an avid motorcycle rider. It has irked me that I've been here for 5 years and they will not give me a decal to ride into the gate. I always have to go through the visitors line, and sometimes that's quite a long way. But apart from that, I've decided to file the paperwork to form a motorcycle club here in Century Village. If anyone is not aware, there is a formal process that you have to go through and paperwork that you have to file with Century Village if you want to start a club. So I'm going to file that paperwork later this month. If anyone knows of an owner of a motorcycle who would like to be part of a motorcycle club here in Century Village, please take one of the information flyers that I have, which include Century Village's formal process papers, right, in order to start a club. As I said, I'm going to file the paperwork at the end of the month. I need at least 9 other owners of motorcycles in Century Village in order to form a club, right? So if you have any interest, see me, take one of my flyers.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry Rabinowitz, Lincoln B. Just a quick question. Is there any discussion being made for another exit onto the Yamato that Lotus development is being built to make another exit onto Yamato Road?
The answer is no.
No. Thank you. No talk of it all, son?
Okay, someone make a motion to adjourn.
Second, hurry up. All in favor?